All right, guys, so we're going to start a new chapter today, chapter 15, and this deals with sectional tensions increasing between the North and the South in the mid 1800s. So we're going to look at three issues. Make sure you're paying attention to these three issues because at the end, for your homework, you're going to have to gather information from this and produce a well written paragraph, minimum 5 sentences. So let's take a look at these three issues. The first issue is the Wilmot Proviso. This proposed bill dealt with the lands acquired from the war with Mexico. This dealt with banning slavery in any of these newly acquired territories, so you can kind of guess how the slaveholders in the South felt. They felt like this was unfair. They considered slaves property, and because they're considered property, they are given equal protection under the law. Because property is property. We may consider our homes a property, but they consider their slaves property. So they did not like this law. Eventually, it would be defeated in the Senate, but the issue was that it set the tone between the relationship between the North and the South at this time period. So that's one issue. The next thing we're going to look at is the Compromise of 1850, again dealing with lands acquired from the war with Mexico. And after the gold rush of 1849, California had a really large population, which remember we analyzed in terms of the immigrant population increasing so much that they were ready to apply for statehood. So with that process came the issue of, do we admit them as a free state or do we admit them as a slave state? And what Henry Clay did was propose this compromise between the North and the South in order to allow California to be admitted. The first issue was to please the North. The North wanted California to be admitted as a free state, so California would be admitted as a free state, and they would also ban the slave trade in Washington, D.C., again, to please the North. To please the South, they would make sure that Congress would pass no new laws dealing with the issue of slavery in the acquired territories from the war with Mexico. And they would help create new, more stringent laws to help with the recapturing of runaway slaves. The last issue is the abolitionist movement. We already talked about the abolitionist movement multiple times, but this did cause some problems. In the North, you had a large following of the abolitionist movement, and in the South, they hated the abolitionist movement. They felt like it threatened their way of life, and it was going to not only threaten their way of life, but their economy. That's how they make their money. So the South did not like the abolitionist movement at all. This other idea of racism, racism is not directly connected to slavery. Racism can exist on its own without slavery, and it did in the North. There was segregation in the North. We talk about segregation in terms of not wanting to be in the same place as the other race. The people in the North did not want to work with African Americans. They didn't want to go to school with African Americans. So technically racism did exist in both areas, the North and the South. So the abolitionist movement not only affected people negatively in the South, but it affected people in the North as well. Now, thinking on these three issues, you are going to choose one, and you are going to write a well-written 5-sentence paragraph. Yes, 5 sentences, 4.5, 4 3/4 does not count. It's 5 sentences minimum about which issue you felt divided the country the most. And what we're going to do with class, we'll take those in class tomorrow, and we will share and do an activity based on that writing. If you have any questions, please make sure you email me, and I'll see everybody tomorrow. Bye.